Hey, good morning. I'm Dave Sammons. We're at Machine Tech Racing Engines in Oceanside, California. I think you're in for a little bit of a treat this morning. We've got two big block Chevrolets coupled together on the dyno. We've got a little over 1,000 cubic inches, along with 12 1971 Holley 310 CFM carburetors for induction. Very rare pieces, very interesting pieces. So we're going to do a couple dyno pulls. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.
We're going to actually fire the motor up and we're going to make it pull from 3,000 RPMs to 6,200, and that's pretty much what this motor is going to operate when it's in the boat. And so you're going to actually see this in action under a full load, full power.
How long? How long's the pull?
Approximately 7 seconds worth of time that it's at wide open throttle.
Anything else you could tell me about the arrangement of the engines?
It's just a situation where we haven't seen, and I don't think anybody's really seen in a long time, if at all, dual motors on an engine dyno actually being operated, because I don't know of anybody that's really attempted it. It may have happened in the 60s, but nowadays I don't know if anybody's actually tried to do this, so it's kind of cool to see. I put two motors, tie them up. We actually ran each motor individually and on the dyno to see what the peak power was. Each motor made 600 horsepower on its own. Now we've tied it up to see what we get with double. Both of them running, so it's kind of a cool idea.
What about the uniqueness about the engines themselves, the carburetors, the...
Well, again, because this is a mid-60s arrangement here, in that day, to see a tri-power, a 6-deuce setup nowadays is practically unheard of. In the day, that's a lot of what people ran, for something that was horsepower related and something they wanted a nice look to. So it was common in that day, but nowadays you don't hardly see them at all. Everything is single 4-barrel.
There's 12 carburetors there.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, so it's pretty darn cool.
So you ready to fire it up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, the good thing is this only needs to run about 50.
Okay, here we go. That was the RPM, about 6,200 at the time. That's what it looked like to me.
Well, these guys, they're getting pretty wild. Crazy boats now.
Feel free to comment, gentlemen.
Excuse me?
Feel free to comment.
Holy Boy, that was a good pull, Monty, a very good pull.
We've got some treadmills up there.
Okay, so
What was the RPMs on that?
6,200.
1223 on horsepower, 1223 horsepower.
What kind of horsepower is that, money?
1223 horsepower, 1295 foot-pounds of torque.
Wow. Very impressive.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Very impressive.
6,200, 1223.
How much torque?
1295 at 33.
All right, wow, how about that? 1,230 horsepower at 6,200 RPM, a little over 1,200 horsepower at 3,300 RPM. What you have seen here is a recreation of the 1968 Campbell called the Renegade. It was built by the Moravas brothers, Ralph and Bob, as a twin-engine ski race endurance boat. It was custom built by the Campbell Boat Company to their specifications. The hull is a one-off all-wood boat. It was the last wood 21-foot boat that was ever made by the Campbell Boat Company. The name Bob Moravas may sound familiar to some of you. He was also known as Floyd Lippincott Jr., and he was a driver of the fabled front-engine dragster freight train. Well, as you can see here, we pretty much have the same technology that was used in the freight train. In fact, John Peters, who owned the freight train, did the drive for this, the chain coupling between the engines. They were looking to build the ultimate ski race endurance boat of its era. Again, that's 1968. And they felt by coupling the two motors that would give them a leg up on the competition. Well, it turns out it did. Boat was very competitive in endurance racing. It won its class 3 times on the back and forth ski race to Catalina. Quickest it ever went with a skier to Catalina from Long Beach and back is 1 hour and 3 minutes. The boat pulled the likes of Chuck Stearns and Danny Churchill, so quite a history with the boat. The boat was retired and found in under an orange tree by a local guy here in Oceanside, Clyde Dietrich. He bought it. It sat for a while. I pre-rigged it just to make sure he had all the parts. And recently it was built by Pete Seitz out of Oklahoma, and we're in the process of restoring it. So what you see here is somewhat unique in that this induction system is all original. These are the exact carburetors, exact manifolds, linkage, and even fuel lines that was on it in 1968. The carburetors are 310 CFM Holley 2-barrel carburetors and have not been produced since 1972. So they've been fully restored by Rick and Izzy down at Rick's Carburetors in Santee. The fuel lines are called Flex Tight, and they have not been produced since the early 70s either. We've rebuilt those. The manifolds are really very, very rare. They're Edelbrock cross-ram manifolds for the 2-barrel carburetors. So we really do have some unique pieces on it. The scoops, even the air scoops that you see, those are original to the boat as well. So we really do try to maintain as much as the original as it could. The engines, I was told, obviously they didn't hook them together when they were dynoed originally, but Bob Moravas told me that they did make almost 640 horsepower with the original Ed Pink Chevrolets that were in it. We've replicated those engines as close as we could, and we're just over 600, and the numbers on the dyno prove it. And when we couple together a true 16-cylinder motor, making almost 1,200, obviously over 1,200 horsepower. It's funny, during this process, and Monty and Bill at Machine Tech here in Oceanside were really behind this project 100%, in that, you know, we had heard all kinds of rumors and comments from engine builders from back in the 60s that there really was no advantage to hooking the engines together, that they really made no more horsepower. And I could drop some names and it might embarrass them, but they were totally wrong. Our dyno numbers prove it. It's a true 16-cylinder motor, and we basically doubled the horsepower of each engine and doubled the torque. It'll be going in the boat. We're in the process of restoring it. It will be brought back to its 1968 livery, and we hope to debut it at the All-Wood Boat Show at Lake Tahoe at the end of July. So a lot of work ahead. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.